All right, let's get right into it. Welcome to today's Explainer. We're looking at something that's going to totally change the game for your UK motorhome travels. If you've ever cringed at handing over your hard-earned cash for a boring, generic patch of grass just to park your van for the night, you are absolutely in the right place.
£32.50. Yeah, that right there is the average cost for just one single night at a traditional UK campsite. I mean, think about that for a second. If you're out touring for a week, a fortnight, or even longer, those nightly fees are going to drain your wallet faster than a thirsty diesel engine going uphill. But what if there was an alternative?
So here's our roadmap for today's Explainer. We're going to cover the motorhome parking problem, exactly what a pub stopover is, unlocking over 6,500 free locations, the golden rules of etiquette, and finally, planning your perfect route. Kicking things off with Section 1, the motorhome parking problem and the high cost of the open road.
Look, there's this central tension that every single motorhome, campervan, and self-build owner eventually runs into, right? We buy these amazing rigs for the promise of ultimate freedom. You know, the dream of going anywhere, anytime. But the reality? Well, it's often the total opposite. We end up tethered to rigid schedules, scrambling to book these packed campsites that charge anywhere from 25 to over 40 quid a night. You're basically paying a premium for freedom, only to get charged a daily fee just to park it. It's kind of crazy when you think about it.
Let's move right along to Section 2. What is a pub stopover? Or as I like to call it, the ultimate touring workaround. So what actually is this concept? A motorhome pub stopover is simply private land, like a pub, a hotel bar, or maybe a farm shop car park, where you are allowed to park up overnight. And here is the absolute magic phrase, folks. It's usually completely free of pitch fees. Zero, nada. In exchange, you just support the local business. It's this brilliant, culturally unique arrangement built entirely on mutual respect. You get a safe, practical place to crash, and the local business gets a new customer. Win-win, right? But hey, let's manage expectations for a second, because there are a few things you absolutely do not get. This is not a holiday resort. You aren't going to find electric hookups or shower blocks or chemical waste disposal. And crucially, this is a big one. You cannot roll out your awnings or set up your camping chairs and tables in the car park. This is all about practical overnight parking in a self-contained vehicle. We're not setting up camp for a 2-week holiday here. Actually, there's a quote straight from our source material that perfectly hits the nail on the head regarding this mindset shift. It says, "A pub stopover is usually overnight parking with permission. It is not the same as booking a pitch on a campsite." I love that, because if you approach a pub car park like you own the pitch, the whole arrangement just completely falls apart.
All right, now for the really exciting part. Section 3, unlocking over 6,500 free locations, and the sheer scale of this solution.
And this brings us to the Motorhome Stopover Club, or the MSC. See, instead of endlessly guessing which pubs might let you stay or doing that awkward, nervous door knock in the pitch black, the MSC acts as your ultimate directory. They've literally done all the heavy lifting to connect motorhome owners with thousands of welcoming hosts all across the UK.
And just look at the massive scale of this. Over 6,500 pre-vetted locations right at your fingertips. We are not just talking about a couple of pubs down the road. We are talking about thousands of pubs, rural farm shops, and even vineyards spread across the entirety of the UK. Having 6,500 plus stops means the sheer magnificent scale of this network gives you unparalleled flexibility literally wherever you decide to point your steering wheel.
Now, the financial contrast here is absolutely wild. Just look at this breakdown. So one average campsite night costs roughly £33, but one full year of standard MSC membership is just £29.99. So by avoiding just one single average campsite fee, you have completely covered your annual membership to access all 6,500 of those locations.
I really want to hammer this home because the math here is just so tangible. One night saved equals one whole year of access. That's it. Every single night you use the network after that very first stay is pure, unadulterated savings kept directly in your pocket. It is a phenomenal return on investment for any focused traveler.
Of course, an ecosystem this massive definitely requires some ground rules. Let's move to Section 4, the golden rules of etiquette and the reciprocal economy.
I want you to remember this definitive maxim from the source material. Park neatly, stay low-key, support the pub, leave no trace. That one simple sentence is literally the shield that protects the future of all stopovers. You gotta remember, these businesses have staff, they have bills, and they have local namers to consider.
Following this golden rule ensures that landlords will continue to welcome motorhome owners with open arms.
So how do we actually put that into practice? Well, here is the perfect arrival process. Just imagine pulling up to a gorgeous little countryside pub. First, try to arrive during their opening hours. Park up temporarily, making absolutely sure you aren't blocking any delivery spots or regular customers. Then, step inside, introduce yourself, politely confirm permission to stay, and ask where exactly they'd like you to park for the night. And finally, support them. Buy an evening meal, grab a pint, or maybe order breakfast the next morning. It makes the landlord's life easy and pretty much guarantees a warm welcome.
But listen, getting explicit current permission is absolutely non-negotiable, even if the pub is listed right there in the directory. Why? Because car parks are private property. Management changes, local councils introduce new restrictions out of nowhere, or sometimes they just need a specific corner empty for a massive delivery truck the next morning. You must never, ever assume you can stay just because the lot looks quiet, or, because you saw another camper van there last month. Always ask.
Okay, let's put all this into action. Section 5, planning your perfect route and connecting those 6,500 dots.
The days of painstakingly searching town by town on generic maps, they're totally over. Using a dedicated UK motorhome route planner completely removes the travel stress of trying to find safe overnight parking before the sun goes down. You just plot your exact driving line from point A to point B, and boom, the planner reveals all the welcoming pub stopovers, rural hosts, and overnight parking options situated exactly along your route.
And just look at the incredible diversity of experiences waiting for you when you aren't tied down to commercial campsites. You could be tucked away at a quiet countryside pub in the Yorkshire Dales, grabbing an amazing coastal parking spot near Cornwall, or simply utilizing a route-friendly stop to safely break up a long, exhausting motorway drive. You aren't just parking your van, you are discovering local villages, enjoying independent food, and having conversations you'd otherwise speed right past on the highway.
Which brings us to our final thought for this explainer. You now know exactly how this system works, the etiquette required to keep it alive, and the absolutely incredible financial value it offers. So with over 6,500 options waiting for you out there on the open road, where will your next stopover be? Thanks so much for joining me on this deep dive, and safe travels out there.